Good morning, viewers across Trinidad and Tobago and in the wider Caribbean. Thank you for joining us here. This is Book Club Corner, and I am Jewel Green. And every Wednesday on Book Club Corner, right here on Tobago Updates in Scarborough, we talk to local authors. We chat with them about their book, about the love of the literary arts, and their impetus for writing. And we're so happy to have with us today uh, a good friend of mine, right? I've known her for a few years, a real Tobago girl, smart like a whip, newscaster for Tambourine Radio, as well as a former vice principal of the Scarborough Secondary School, former Spanish teacher, and she is a leader in the NGO world in Tobago. She is the president of the Rotary Southwest, as well as the secretary for the Kiwanis Club Tobago. And we welcome with us this morning Miss Anne-Marie Davis.
Good morning, Joel, and thank you.
It's so lovely to have you here with us.
Thank you so much.
And she'll be chatting with us about her book, right? She's a co-author of the book Tobago in Print, and we'll be chatting about that. But you know how we do it on Book Club Corner. We have to get in some brunch. We have a wine today, and we'll be doing the 5 S's of wine tasting. But let me tell you what we have today. This wine is from Sweet Hand Wines. It is an exotic fruit blend, right? And we are going to be sipping on this today. I'm so enthused. Let me tell you, I'm smelling it right now. So we're going to do the 5 S's, right? We're going to see the wine. So we see the clarity. And this wine, it has good body, right? When we look at this wine. And then we swirl the wine. And what we're looking for is the legs, the sweetness. And this wine, I'm seeing some legs here. And then we sniff the wine. And we sip and we savor. This really is an exotic fruit blend, and it's giving me a little dryness. Gemma, you know I like my dry wine. Thank you. This is really, really nice. I have to take another sip. This is a special one, guys. Gemma, Sweet Hand Wines, and she is obliquely opposite Canaan Penny Savers, the little blue store right by the Panyard, a local winemaker, a vintner in her own right. She comes up with her own blends. And thank you very much for this, Gemma. And as we start today, we want to talk about your book that you co-authored with the other 25 authors, because this is an anthology.
Yes.
And an anthology is a collection of works.
Definitely.
And this has a number of short stories and poems, Tobago in Print. Guys, get this book. This is a fantastic book to have. It's an especially fantastic book if you are in the diaspora, traveling back home, or you have friends and family away, right? It really is Tobago in print, right? Literally, the name says it all. And we want to talk to one of the co-authors. We've had another co-author here, your compatriot, Maria.
Okay.
I know you all, every year they do the hamper drive with the Tobago Writers Guild. Because Anne-Marie is a past vice president of the guild, as well as she is now a very vibrant member. And you have 3 poems in here, Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
And the 3 poems, A Wasted Life. But the one I really, really like is this Kindness Tree. I read it and I said to myself, she has to read this one for us. Did you need your glasses to read this one?
No, I can't read it.
Because the last author we had, she said, oh my God, you didn't tell me how to read. I have to get my glasses before we start. She's like me, right? I cannot, I could see, but I can't see. Right, guys? We know, those who know. So we're going to get into this kindness poem. But I want you to tell us about how you became a poet. Right?
Okay.
How long have you been a poet? Did you recognize that you were a poet from early on, or is it something that gradually grew on you?
Okay. Good morning to everyone, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers. It actually started when I was in first form in Bishop's High School. My English teacher, Miss Agnes Marie Thomas, now Miss Agnes Murray, she gave us a poem to write. She told us just pick a topic and write a poem, and she would grade it for us. So I decided to write a poem entitled Nitya. Actually, that's my first official poem. And I got 9 out of 10, which actually was the highest mark. And I was like, wow. I said, I wonder where I lost that 1 mark.
Yeah.
And I felt so proud because she let me read it to the class.
Oh.
And in addition to that, my mom is a published author, or was a published author, God rest her soul. And she always used to write poems. And I think I got that kind of gene from her, writing poems. I like to, take experiences and express it on paper. Because for me, I don't have any set time for writing. Something happens, it affects me deeply, and then I write. So I think I got that from my mom. And, with the encouragement
this is a
from
family business.
Yes.
Handed down from mother
from
to
my
daughter.
mother, yeah.
I like that. Listen, get into this family business of writing, It's not only something that is a legacy, it's profitable, yes, but it is something that where you leave who you are, what you think about the world, and how you feel about the world behind for others to read and consume.
Definitely.
And I think that's really important.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me, when you wrote this poem called, and I have my stickies, so I know exactly how to get back to my spot. When you wrote this poem called The Wasted Life, and I want you to read a few verses from here. When you wrote this poem called The Wasted Life, I know you're a former teacher, former vice principal, and Spanish teacher. Janelle, the host for Brunch, she said, that's my Spanish teacher. She taught, that was the only time I ever wrote an essay in Spanish, right? So as a teacher dealing with youth, this poem, The Wasted Life, did it have any impact on why you wrote this poem?
I think it did because, being in the education system, different experiences would impact you from time to time. And you'll have to deal with all kinds of children, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and sometimes you talk to them and, you try to encourage them to do the right thing, go along the right way, but sometimes they just don't take you on. So I think that kind of propelled me to write that poem. Yes.
And do you find that this is something that, as a former vice principal, as a teacher, you've had to deal with on frequently? Is it an infrequent, issue of, what you would say this wasted life, that, the youth are wasting their life? Or do you think it's just, it's a one-off, it happens, but it's not something that's the norm?
Both ways. You try to get interventions, you'll try get counseling for them. There are those who would go along with what is provided. And then again, you have those that would resist no matter what. They would resist, they would come to school, they'll be on the corridors, they would be wasting time. And sometimes you meet them after school and they'll come and say, Miss, I really mess up in school, that kind of way, I really should listen to you. And, I might have had my subjects by now. I said, well, it's not too late. You can still try and, get whatever you need to get, but I think we as educators, we need to continue to encourage youth to continue to be on the right path, to do the right thing. You're coming to school for an education. Ensure that, when classes are called, you are in place and that you do what is required of you. Because at the end of the day, it would affect you in some form or fashion. Yes.
That is so true. Let me tell you, well, I had a mother. She was an educator as well. She was a teacher, a former principal of a primary school in Trinidad. And she used to pound in our head. I mean, we heard it so often. She used this phrase, and every time I say it, I have to explain it. They're here come already, She used to say that. No, she used to use that phrase while she was combing our hair, right? So, while you're getting your hair plait, you want to still watch the TV, right? So you're there spinning and twisting, and she say, you're going to get a mover all road if you continue, meaning the plait going to be all over the place. And then she used to say, they're here come already, mind your business, right? You are the one whose hair is getting plait. This is for you, so mind your business, because they're here come already. And I always remember that phrase. And that is something that even as youth, we need to be cognizant of they're here come already. Their business fixed. Everything, their bread buttered, so to speak. Everything is well with them. Where are you? And that's something I think youth sometimes don't always realize, that they're in a situation where somebody is already where they're going and you are now trying to get there. You know, sometimes we would come home and tell her, you know, this teacher did this or she said that, or this teacher doesn't like me. And she said, okay, what happened? And we'd explain. She said, all right, well, it doesn't sound too bad yet. If anything else happens, you know, let me know so I can monitor. But remember, she or he already has their degree, right? They're teaching you because they already got there. So just be able to take the meat off the bone and leave the bone, right? So, you know, parents, you really need sometimes to guide these students and even educators, you know. I know that sometimes educators are dealing with their own stress and issues. And I feel, you know, they're human beings too. And we have to be able to understand that, you know, they're not perfect people. And nobody's perfect. No one is. But when you go to school, students out there, get your education. All you're getting, get your education, right? Definitely. We want to make sure you understand that. They're here come already. A teacher here come already. The principal here come already. Taxi driver here come already. The bus driver here come already. You get your here come, right? That's all I'm going to put out there. Anne-Marie, I want us, before we go to a break, just to read a few stanzas from here. And we're going to go to break and come back when Anne-Marie is finished reading. No problem. A wasted life, guys.
A wasted life. He seemed intent in more ways than one to ignore his parents' plea, for they were aware that the path he'd tread would be filled with misery. The advice to reject evil friends fell only on deaf ears. He lived a rather reckless life throughout his teenage years. He abandoned his role as a high school kid, no sense he said it made, and opted for a life of crime of which he wasn't afraid. Until one day, alas, too late, they got the troubling news. Their son was killed in broad daylight. Soon everyone shared their views. Stealing, killing, and kidnapping, that was his way of life. But how could all his parents' work be blurred by pain and strife? In utter despair, they sought advice to mend their broken son. But still he refused any extra help, regardless of what they'd done. Their only recourse now was to pray. They lived on bended knee and offered up their child to God to be freed from his misery.
We're going to stop there, guys. We're going to break. Anne-Marie, your voice is so melodious. It's so calming. I could listen to you all day long. You got to do an audiobook. You have to do an audiobook. This is why she's a newscaster, guys. You hear that voice? Just sweet. The pronunciation. My goodness. Oh, we're going to break. We'll be back, Anne-Marie, with A Wasted Life, The Kindness Tree, Tobago imprint. Get the book, guys. See you in a few minutes. And we're back. Tobago Updates, Book Club Corner. We're having a really nice chat with former Vice Principal, President of the Rotary Southwest, Anne-Marie Davis. Get this book, Tobago imprint. It is an anthology of 26 authors. And Anne-Marie, before we went to the break, was giving us a read. Anne-Marie's voice, it's magic. She has to do an audiobook. I mean, one of the poems that you have here, because you have 3 of them, right? Yes. So you have a poem called A Wasted Life, God the Potter, You the Clay, and The Kindness Tree. Tell me, how many poems do you have in total?
I have a total of about 45 poems in all.
45.
Yeah, and about 3 or 4 short stories.
So we can expect a full book from you soon.
Yes, hopefully. Once things go to plan.
Let me tell you, yes. She is a poet by just, you could tell, it's in your blood, right? We have this kindness tree, and I want you to read from us this kindness tree. And then we want to get into the conversation. We're going to be bringing some of these budget conversations in here. What's happening in Tobago, right? Okay. So I want you pick just 1, 2, 3 dots. Okay. Whichever 3 you want. Okay. I can't get enough of Anne-Marie's voice.
Okay, the kindness tree. Be kind to all, both big and small. Be kind in word and deed. What's needed is a tiny act, small as a mustard seed. You plant this very minute seed in the garden that's called life. You weed it round and tend to it and uproot weeds of strife. You watch it daily blossom now into the kindness tree. And then you pluck a leaf or two and sit right back and see. Both leaves represent kindness, a good deed done someday. It may be offering words of cheer or showing them the way. You pluck more leaves from this great tree and cheer someone who's ill and share with those who are in need and surely do his will.
Emery, don't get them everything. Let them buy the book. Let them buy the book and get the rest of this poem and the rest in this book. Your voice is just magic, as I said, just smooth. But when I read this poem, I said to myself, I hear Tobago say a lot. Tobago isn't the Tobago they knew. This Tobago isn't the Tobago they knew. And I said the kindness tree. How apt it would be, if this were to lead us back to ourselves. Is that what you have found, that Tobago has changed in terms of their kindness, their helpfulness to each other? And this is not a criticism, guys. Please don't come for us. We're making observations here. Yeah?
Yes, I do agree with you. I express the same sentiments because, growing up in Tobago, it was like, a big family. Everyone knew everybody and everyone would be willing to assist, to help you in your moment of need. Your car broke down on the road, you are sure that once you pop your bonnet, you are sure that someone would stop and assist. Little things like that, family runs out of food, you have a banana, you sting your hand over a bunch of bananas and breadfruit, whatever, and you share, and everybody gets along because we are all here to help each other. But as time has gone by, I've realized that people have more become kind of self-centered. I don't want to use the word selfish. They have become more self-centered and they more kind of concentrate on themselves and their immediate circle, their immediate family or circle of friends, and tend to kind of lock off other people outside of that circle. And, I don't think that augurs well for the development of Tobago because, you never can tell. Someone is always in need.
True.
And, we always have to have that little, something within us to extend a helping hand to
that
persons.
Kindness.
Yes,
kindness
definitely
is so needed.
So
and
needed.
we went through COVID, right? And I feel like, COVID really brought us back to ourselves. There was a lot of pain in COVID. A lot of people died. A lot of people lost loved ones. But even within that, I'm seeing that we had some blessings in COVID, right? People started to be kind to each other. And that's one of the, COVID is when we started to do the hamper drive every Christmas, right? Because of that, we saw the need, right? That's the Tobago Writers Guild, guys. We saw the need that people would, people are having to get help to get groceries. It's not easy. And I wondered to myself, what have you observed? Do you think that COVID kind of brought us back together at all?
To a certain extent. It has kind of made people sit and, be more introspective because, you with COVID, you're kind of, locked away. You are there with your own thoughts. So you have more time to think and reflect. And I think that has helped us to a certain extent to be more receptive of others and to be more giving as a people in Tobago because that's how we are. We are naturally giving people, loving people, helpful people. So I don't know why we have digressed so much from being that type of people.
Let me tell you, Tobago, sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweet people, sweet environment, sweet wine. Well, it's a little dry today and I'm happy for that. And I want to talk about, just for a bit, I want to mention, people ask me from time to time, it's Book Club Corner, it's about books. Why are you supporting local wines? Like, what is that about? Let me tell you guys. I have a wine company. And I went to open a bank account for my wine company, only to be told that there is no category for local winemakers with custom and excise, and therefore you can't even get a license. So therefore you can't open a bank account, right? And I heard, some commentators for the budget yesterday talking about they are comparing how many businesses are registered and how many of them have accounts. And it's quite a lot of us, right? And they assume the reason is that, people just want to be able to keep all their money to themselves. They don't want to pay taxes. But we don't support our local industry enough. We don't
Industry.
support our local people. And I wanted to make sure that while we have a platform for our writers, we bring everybody on board,
Together.
right? So it's not just about local winemakers, because I love local wine, guys. Not because I just love local wine and I love books, but because we have to support each other. It's part of that kindness tree that we're talking about, making sure everybody's okay, making sure everybody has a space to be able to be seen and to be heard and to be promoted, right? And if I have a platform, I'm a first child, so Princess used to say, every time you get up, somebody, bring water for me, bring something for you have to bring everybody along. And that's one of the things we love Tobago for. Bring a brother or sister along. If you're getting through in life, if you're succeeding, put them onto the game. Bring them along with you. You're not going to miss out. So cheers and big up. Cheers, Anne-Marie, to our local winemakers, our local authors, our local businesses. If we don't stick together, we're not going to get through. And before we go, I want to talk lastly about your work in the NGO world. You are in 3 NGOs.
Yes.
Where do you find the time? Ask the person who in 5. But we won't get into that today.
Right.
You're the president of the Rotary Southwest.
Yes.
You're the secretary of Kiwanis. You were the former vice president of the Tobago Writers Guild, right? And you even filled in as secretary for quite a while. And she's a really good secretary. And you do other work as well. Where did you find the impetus? One, where did you tell yourself, I need to serve, I need to be of service?
Well, coming from an educational background, the name of the game there is service. Because once you're in education, you're always serving your stakeholders, your students. You are there to work along with your teachers and everything. So when I retired, it just automatically spilled over into, service organizations. And for me, I just love helping people. It's just in my genes. I think I got it from my parents, because my father was the first president of the St. Vincent de Paul, right, that has a branch up at Mason Hall.
Right.
He actually founded it in Tobago. And I think from that, seeing him go around and, with baskets of food and giving out to persons on a regular basis, that sort of impacted me as a child. And then my mom became involved in that same service organization. And now my sister is also part of that. So I think it kind of grew on me, and it touched me in some form or fashion. And, just being home now, I'm retired, I have nothing to do, so I may as well just get up and serve.
You have nothing to do? She has plenty to do, guys. She is every time I speak to Anne-Marie, Anne-Marie say, I'm heading out the door, I just came in. I have this to do. Anne-Marie, I don't know what your definition of I have nothing to do is, but that is not it, right? Anne-Marie, as a woman leading the charge, right? As the president of the Rotary Southwest, and a leader in your own right, what would you say if you were to give advice to young women, to the women of Tobago? Because we have a history of being cheerleaders, right? As they say, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? We have a history of cheering. We always say with the pom-pom, so we're never driving the boat, we're never driving the car. What is your take as a leader yourself for young women and for women in general to be the drivers?
I don't know if one of the factors that kind of keeps women back is fear, or maybe feeling that you're not good enough. But my point is, you'll never know if you're not good enough if you never try. So my advice to anybody who finds, herself in a position of leadership, or who is being called to perform that position or that role, I would say go for it. Give it your best shot. Entrust it to God, and God will make a way, and He will make everything possible. If I can take my own example as being, current president of the Rotary Club of Southwest Tobago, when I was appointed and, all of that, I had initial fear.
Yes.
I even told them that on the induction night. I had initial fear. Would I fail this group? Would I be able to function? But I said, look, I'm going into it with an open mind, with God at my side. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. And so far, it's been a good experience for me. Yes. So go for it. Just go brave. Give it all you've got. And at the end, you will be able to look back and see the success and reap the rewards.
I'm very proud of you, if
Yes,
that counts
thank
for
you.
anything, because this woman, she is doing the thing, right? But I am so proud of you, Anne Marie, as a woman leading the charge,
Thank you.
doing, helping, being in NGO work. It's something that we need more of in
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to thank you for being here with us, taking the time out to discuss your work and your poetry. Guys, get this book. And while you're getting the book, get some wine from Sweet and Wines. You should be reading with wine. It's better, right? It makes reading sweeter. Tobago Imprint, it's an anthology of 26 authors. Anne-Marie Davis is here with us. She's one of those authors. Get this book. It's a great gift for Christmas. It's a great gift for people who are going back to, if they're living overseas. It's a great gift, full stop. And let me tell you, where they go down by Sweet and Wines, right opposite Penny Savers Cannon, and get this exotic fruit blend. It is fantastic. I think this would be probably my top two. I have another one. The others was really good last, but this would be one of my top ones, the top recommendations to get. And we want to close off today. Thank you for tuning in with us, guys. Another episode of Book Club Corner. We will be here next week, Wednesday, as we will be every Wednesday. And next week, Wednesday, we will be talking to Cleon McPherson about his work and his writings. So we want to close off. Cheers to you, Anne Marie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
for having
guys.
Me.
Thank you for viewing.